brain fog or cognitive impairment or fibro fog. Now, I've made videos on chronic fatigue and also on long COVID, and a recurrent theme that comes from my patients as well as you, my viewers, is actually this concept of brain fog or cognitive impairment or fibro fog. I think in the context of fibromyalgia, patients have often referred to it as fibro fog. In the context of long COVID, it's been called as brain fog. But ultimately, what we are discussing and talking about is this concept called as cognitive impairment. Now, this is something that's become very, very topical, very relevant, and very important, especially after COVID. First of all, what is brain fog or fibro fog? Our understanding of cognitive impairment now has been significantly advanced in the last few years with the research that's coming out. But ultimately, there is in memory concept, there's often, we all understand something known as short-term memory, and then we've got the sort of the long-term memory. And what happens in fibro fog or the cognitive impairment after COVID is an impact on the short-term memory. So what actually happens? Memory itself is a very complicated process. First of all, you've got to be able to see something, meaning that your eyes are having to register something. That information is traveling within the nerve circuits to the areas of the brain that are processing the information. And then they go to this very unique part of the brain, which is called the hippocampus. That is essentially the memory center. And that is very closely linked to your emotional center called the amygdala. So it's this constant communication between the memory center, your emotion center, and the eyes, which are feeding the sensory input, that make together memory happen. So what happens in short-term memory changes is first the information has to come from whichever sensation, usually the eyes. It comes to your short-term memory circuits, the hippocampus. Now, I'm massively simplifying some of these, but ultimately what happens is for you to be able to remember something, you need to have information that comes through these circuits. These circuits then will have to process that information, and new circuits will have to be fired and wired together so that you can remember that information for a short period of time. And after some time, usually when you sleep at night, there is an opportunity for that short-term storage of memory to be archived so that it becomes long-term. So you see there are about 2 or 3 processes. First, for signals to come. The second is for the wires and circuitry to form, to remember it for a short period of time. And then for you to be able to sleep at night or a period of rest for that memory to be then archived and become long-term. And what happens in brain fog or fibro fog or this cognitive impairment is this total concept of a low-grade inflammation, which means that the information that's coming from the eyes or a sensory organ, because of the inflammation, not all of that signaling and information comes through the circuits. Because again of the low-grade inflammation, the circuits don't form very well, so you don't have that short-term ability to remember. And finally, because sleep is often disturbed and the same process of inflammation is occurring, you do not get an archiving of that short-term memory to long-term memory. So recall is affected, archiving is affected, and actual registering is affected, which is why when you have brain fog, it's the sum total of registration, recall, and archiving. All 3 are affected, which is why people experience such significant impairment. So I hope this makes clear what cognitive impairment in this context is. It's quite a challenge. It's something that's very common. It's the 2nd or 3rd most common symptom reported in long COVID itself. And cognitive impairment is something that we all need to understand better in order to support our patients. In the next video, I'll be talking about what are the present treatment strategies that we are able to offer and what are the opportunities that might present in the future with managing this condition and the research that's right now happening. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it of value. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel and click on the bell button to be notified when the next video comes along.